I thought I was in the clear. I thought I was ready for bed again. So
Welcome to episode 27, Is That Your Kid podcast, the weekly edition of this stuff going on every week. And kids in the ITYK universe, we have a special episode for you this evening. And when I say special, you mark your calendars. The first time you hit that download button, first time you subscribed on iTunes, you hit refresh on that podcast feed, you will know where you were when you listened to this, okay? This is Volume 2, Episode 7, our 27th episode that we've done. We are nerds from Western Pennsylvania, and we cope with one another's personality flaws. I'm your host, Todd, the Bod Tondera, and my lovely co-host, Jake. I'm too sleepy to fuck, sir, mate. Jake is actually half asleep in my bed right now. It is 20 after 4 in the morning. He's all cuddled up. He has a microphone close to his mouth. Mm-hmm. Jake, how are we feeling this morning, buddy?
Pretty sleepy. But I'm ready to go.
I feel it.
Do I sound ready?
No.
Well, the show must go on, right?
We're also here with Mike Slobodian, guitarist from the Velcro Shoes, also from Atlas. He's excited to be here. He's been excited all night. He's been drinking a bottle of Jameson all night as soon as I hit that record button. Big show coming up in Pittsburgh, and that's why he's a part of the podcast.
The big show.
Symbols Eat Guitars, Smiling Moose, September 14th, Velcro Shoes, and our lovely musical guest from last week, Can't Dance. All three bands, $10, Smiling Moose, be there, be square.
All ages.
6:30, all ages.
All ages
next
is
week.
a big deal.
It's a week from today, but Velcro Shoes have been on our show before. Great friends of the show. Can't Dance, also our musical guest from next week. So hit them up, can'tdance.bandcamp.com. Or is it velcroshoes.bandcamp.com?
Swag.
Hit them up for tickets. They're open for Symbols Eat Guitars. Big show in Pittsburgh. See everybody from the ITYK universe next Sunday. But we also have a musical guest this week, Divorce. We'll hear more about them later. Very excited to have them on the show. Their album's actually streaming on Punk News as we speak. A lot to talk about this week. Jake, do you want to start off with anything?
Do I want to start off with that? I had a big day. A big day. I woke up. I went to band rehearsal, marching band rehearsal.
Is that why you're tired?
Well, I was up all day. I was up with the birds, up with the sun.
Todd, you have some bird stories.
Does Todd have bird stories?
Mike, stop it! Damn you! Jake, just continue.
I was up all day trying to get the band prepared for their competition. We had a home show today. So I was up running around. That's a home show. That means we were the host band, Mike. So everyone came to us. And if anyone had a problem, they were coming to me. You better believe I dealt with the problems. And guess what? I don't come back empty-handed.
Top three problems you dealt with today.
Someone's like, "Hey, I need AA batteries." I said, "Done."
And that one was pretty easy to go.
Yeah. Another one is, "Hey, are we gonna have a high marching award?" I said. They asked if I was gonna have a high marching award. I said, "I don't know."
Maybe.
But then I found out, and guess what? The answer was yes. So once I found out the answer, I took it to the person who asked me the question, and I said yes. And that was problem number 2, and I'm stalling because I'm thinking of problem 3.
There's gotta be one.
This gotta be problem 3 right now.
Oh, the one band, they didn't have an electrical outlet, so they said, "Do you have an extension cord so we can plug in?" And I said yes, and then I got it for them.
So it sounds like you've had a very hard day.
I did a lot. In addition to doing all my band duties, all my band stuff, which is like instructing and teaching and making sure that they're not bad at what they do. Oh no, I just ask someone for some.
Would this be problem number 4 for the day?
I think
potting at 4:28 in the morning.
That's definitely a Jay Zone concern right now. It's gonna be light out soon, and here we are. My work week's done.
You're about to wake up with the birds again. 2 days in a row.
I'm gonna wake up real early. Oh man, I'm going to the Steeler game tomorrow.
Pop on that mic. Mike, pop on that mic.
Go Steelers.
I'm waking up. I'm going to the Steeler home opener right at Heinz Field tomorrow.
Is that the first time you've been to Heinz Field, the Steeler game?
Yeah, at Heinz Field. Yep.
31-3 Steelers.
Mike will call it out. He'll say 31-3 Steelers.
He's our producer that we didn't know we had. Mike.
He's got a lot of opinions about what this should be and what it also should not be.
He's been telling us all night, and that's why we have to record.
I'll tell you this. I was trying to sleep, and Todd was trying to pod, and I was like, I'll pod laying down if you set it all up. And Mike was like, let him do it. And then it happened. So I am.
This is the third time we've recorded this thing.
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, right?
Yeah, except I'm not sleeping, so just 1 bird with 1 stone.
And nothing's dead.
And no birds are dead.
Maybe our friendship. Mike is calling a segue, and he's our fucking producer, Jake.
I want to hear these dead bird stories I heard Todd has so many of.
I have 2 dead bird stories, and since Mike knows what this podcast is and we don't, I'm gonna go right into.
Did the beaks
stories.
fall off?
Dude, yes. I actually have 2 fresh stories. The first story.
What kind of birds are we talking here?
Well, the first story involves a pigeon. It was at work this past week. It happened on Monday. I was actually setting up the room for a student interview. Because, again, I work in college admissions. We interview students that are looking to go to school. And a student that was looking to enroll for the fall came in. And in an interview room, you have we go through the admissions interview. And I work on the 2nd floor of a building in Pittsburgh. And outside the floor, we have like a ledge outside the window that goes all around the building. And I was preparing the room, and I opened up the curtains on said room, and there was a dead bird lying on the ledge, like as if making crucified. Like, don't do that, Mike. Mike's shutting my computer. It's off now. A bird was lying on the ledge, like open-chested, with his arms out, and it was being eaten by other birds and maggots.
And what was in its stomach contents, Todd? Tell me.
What? If French fries were, I'm assuming the French fries were in its stomach because there was French fries and feathers everywhere. I opened the curtain to see this massacre on this ledge.
Was the bird alive?
No, brother. He was like
I'm asleep.
Open-chested. It was just like a gaping hole.
I didn't
with
know if it was
maggots.
like open heart surgery.
So I'm assuming that the bird flew into the window, broke its neck, and then just died, and other birds were eating
in a flurry of French fries.
And so that's like the first bird story. Obviously, I just moved to the next interview room, and to this day, that bird carcass still rots and cooks on that ledge. The second one is actually kind of sad. It may not come off. Don't fucking close my laptop, bro. Well, don't do any of that.
Mike is a saboteur of everything right now.
Mike's going to sleep now. Could you fucking believe that?
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, the second one is actually sad. I don't know how sad it will come off on the podcast, but my mom works at Home Depot, and at Home Depot, I guess there's birds that fly in and out of the the door. And she has mentioned to me prior, there's a family of birds, and she feeds the birds at the register. Like, they'll fly over to a register. I don't know what she feeds them, but she just, like, gives them...
French fries.
I don't know if she
French
gives them French
fries.
fries. But just like anything that she has at the register. And I guess this particular
Pennies.
morning,
Take a penny, give a penny.
she feeds the birds pennies. And she was just giving them like whatever, I guess whatever to eat. Sawdust to eat, whatever birds eat if they live in Home Depot. And she says she's been feeding these birds. She says she's been feeding these birds for nearly like 4 years. And I guess she had fed 3 of the particular 4 birds.
Hold on, let's take a moment of.
The average lifespan
Whoa, what's that?
of a bird.
Is that a wind chime?
It's my fucking phone at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, it's an alarm to wake up.
No, it's someone's calling me. It doesn't matter. And anyway, there was one bird left to feed, and she had noticed the manager was just down from her register. So how you talk to animals, she's like, wait 1 second. Like, don't, like...
That's not how you talk to an animal.
Well, you know, she was probably like, just get by a mic if you're going to talk. This is the most annoying thing I've dealt with all night, and I'm looking you through. He's not by a fucking mic yet. He's going to fucking derail it from not even on the mic.
Keep going, Todd. I think your story is great. As soon as your mom started feeding those birds sawdust, I was in.
Okay, anyway.
4 years.
So there was one bird left to feed,
worth of
and she didn't want to feed said bird because
he had eaten too much.
Her manager was looking at her. So she said in bird language, like, listen, come back later. I'll have food for you or whatever. And that bird didn't
Your
fly
mom
away.
is a parcel tongue for birds.
Oh my god.
Oh man. So the 3 birds flew away and the one bird stayed because it didn't feed that bird. So after the manager left, she went to feed the bird. Stop touching me. She went to feed the bird. The bird flew away into the Home Depot doors and got smashed and died in one fell swoop. And she told me, she's like, Toddy, I've been feeding those birds for 4 years. He was my little friend. And I was like, oh my God. And that's when I just left. And I was just like,
you didn't console her or anything.
all
You just
right,
left.
I guess I'll go. So a bird died because she didn't feed it soon
Where
enough.
were you, at Home Depot?
No, she was telling me this at home.
Oh.
I was actually telling her that first bird story, and she's like, I've got a bird
I
story.
can beat that.
I gotta beat that. A friend of mine died. A friend bird. Her bird
What was
friend
his
died.
name, you wonder?
Well, there was 4 birds,
Henry.
and I don't know.
The one that died was probably Isaac.
Have to ask her in the morning, which, in fact, bird is dead.
That'll be on pod.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. It's hard to lose friends, especially if you feed them, every day.
Yeah.
Like, I might be closer friends with you and Mike if I fed you every day.
Yeah. I mean,
because I feel responsible for what you eat and how fit you are, and
how in shape we are.
how in shape.
This summer, man, I've been bringing some popsicles to your house. I've been eating a lot of popsicles in your house.
Todd brought some mango fruit pops. He brought some, just normal popsicles. No, it's true, Mike. You did.
I brought pineapple ones, green apple ones.
Todd is looking at me one-eyed through a
One
chair.
eye through this hole in the chair.
I don't like it. I wish I couldn't see that part.
Yeah, it's a weird experience for all of us. I mean, if we sat at a table like regular humans right now, that
Regular
would be
humans
fine.
are asleep, aren't they? It's 4:30.
Jake is mad because he has to wake up on Monday.
Mad about Madden.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sleepy tomorrow night.
I wish Mike would sleep in the other room. I already want him in the same room.
Put me in the attic.
How about, that's a great segue. How about you and Mike? You had some altercations. Was that last night?
Yeah, we did have
Well,
some
tell us.
altercation.
Well,
Here's
I'll-
the thing.
I'll
He's
bump
not
the
by a
story.
microphone, so I don't want him to talk.
He doesn't have to. You could tell it. They told me a story earlier tonight, and maybe when we were trying something very similar earlier, they said that they slept in the attic, the spooky attic upstairs.
Last weekend we did.
Okay, that was last
I
weekend,
think, was that last
and
weekend? Yeah.
they had been drinking, and they decided they wanted to sleep in the attic, which I'm glad Todd didn't ask me to do. That's not something I wish to do.
It may have been my idea. I can't remember. I said, let's sleep in the attic. And then we went to the attic. He illegally recorded my voice without me knowing.
That's not
And then
illegal.
I woke up and he was gone. And it was the next morning.
So Mike without Mike's part of the story, he left you there alone in your attic.
Well, in his defense,
it is your attic.
I fell asleep. In his defense, I did fall asleep, and he just bailed on the idea of sleeping there. So, I mean, fair's fair. If somebody falls asleep, I mean, would I have done that? Absolutely not. I would have slept there, too, because that was the original intent. But do I see why Mike would leave? Yeah. I could see how he could do that. But we've had a few altercations. That was really not even an altercation. Last night would be a bigger altercation. I think it was last night. We were playing Madden, which we'll talk about even more later. Mike was victorious last night in a Madden game where my defense just was not clicking. As a coach, I need to put my head back in the game. He did beat me there, and I've just got to focus and remain dedicated. But something that I'm dedicated in doing is putting together a fantastic franchise. And speaking of Mike, he did help me with this intro. But as we talked about last week, we're going to get right into it. This is called Mad About Madden.
Not every great player is a great guy. Right. Not every great player is even a good guy.
ITYK here to say I'm mad about Madden every single day.
Now, my favorite two teams growing up were the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Jacksonville Jaguars came into fruition when I first started watching football. So that's when I took to them. I took to their style of play, and particularly their quarterback, Mark Brunell. And I then went to the Washington Redskins after Mark Brunell had left the Jaguars, and then went to the Redskins.
So you only like the Jaguars?
At the time, Jaguars
just for Mark Brunell.
And then the Redskins are now, since when Brunell went to the Redskins, I liked the Redskins, and I stuck with them, and I've been following them. So this is actually the first year the coach, Todd Tondera, has signed on a 5-year contract to be the innovator, the motivator, the dedicator to the Washington Redskins franchise.
It's about the player, so is it?
So I've Madden 15, I will be the coach for the Washington Redskins.
Todd,
What?
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Were you a fan of the Jets whenever Mark Sanchez wiped a booger on Mark Brunell's jersey?
Yeah, I was.
So you were a Jets fan immediately?
Yeah. Well, I was a Jets fan, but Mark Sanchez, quarterback of the Jets, wiped a booger on Mark Brunell's jacket on live television. No, I didn't hate him for doing that. It was funny.
But you're a Jets fan now.
Yeah, I liked Boomer Esiason growing up as well, and he played for the Jets. So for the Redskins, I've taken it that I will coach. I've coached many Madden teams to success, multiple Super Bowl victories. I've built franchises. I've spent hours upon hours putting time into this game to build towards not only a franchise, but a team that those particular cities could be proud of.
That's well spoken.
So the Redskins team in Washington, mad about Madden. I dedicate everything to the city.
I'm mad about this whole thing.
Make a segment intro and I'll put it in the mix. But just
Mad about man.
just some stats to roll off for you.
Mad about
Robert Griffin III,
RG
1,351 yards, 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, rushing 55 attempts, 405 yards with 7 touchdowns, and that's through 6 games. As I'm 4-2, I'm tied, 3-way tie for the top of the division. I would like to see his yards increase. I'm going to be working on that, prepping for the game. Here's the great part about Robert Griffin. When he is on, my offense is on. He is the core of my offense. Starting in a franchise, I've never had such talent starting out at the quarterback position. I've built careers in the quarterback position. I've never been gifted someone in the quarterback position like Robert Griffin. But I'll tell you what I haven't been given. Anything else on that offense. And don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. But my offensive line is terrible. I will get them into shape. Their cardio's got to get going. I need to hire a new strength coach to get them up to par on that. I've got a fantastic left tackle. But that's about it. But receiving, Deshaun Jackson, 23 receptions, 390 yards, 1 touchdown. And that's coaching. That's a coaching problem. Your best receiver shouldn't have 1 touchdown. I'll fix that.
Sounds like RG3's running the ball too much.
He's running the ball, Jake, because that's what he has.
You're going to shorten his career if you're running like that.
Exactly. And Jake, you are completely right on that. And I will plan on fixing that.
Sounds like you're a coach willing to take a lot of unnecessary risks.
I would say that. I think Mike might die in front of me. I think tonight. But I do have Pierre Garçon as my second wide receiver for the team. He's doing pretty okay. Aldrick Robinson, he has 18 receptions, 268 yards, 4 touchdowns. I'll tell you what, though, Jake, he's a problem in the locker room. Every locker room has a cancer. And I don't want to go as far as say Aldrick Robinson is my cancer in the locker room. But I'll say this. I scheduled a doctor's appointment to see if the tumor that is Aldrick Robinson is cancer.
Well, I hope that's benign cancer, there. I hope that's benign.
If it's benign, he'll start next week. If it's not benign, obviously you got to cut ties with that because that's what you do with cancer. You cut ties with it or you die with it. If you could afford it, you cut, and he's cheap. Let me tell you, that's why I have him. On defense, I signed some free agents. I got some old heads playing D right now.
Whoa.
My top defense, Ryan Clark, 23 tackles.
I know he's got a big helmet.
He's got a huge-ass helmet, cuz.
He's wearing those 25s.
Akeem Jordan, 21 tackles. Sacks, Ryan Kerrigan, 6 sacks.
Woo!
Jason Hatcher, 6 sacks. Stephen Howen, 2 sacks. Arakpo, 2 sacks. But I am 4-2. I'm tied with the Giants and the Cowboys, 4-2.
All right, let's talk about something I know. Does Ryan Clark have like sickle cell anemia?
Yeah, he does. He still does.
So I do know that. That's 2 things I know about big helmet Ryan Clark.
Sickle cell anemia and his helmet.
So everything bad about him.
Yeah. But
Okay.
The sickle cell hasn't been a problem.
Yeah, he hasn't been in a plane for a while.
We've been monitoring it closely. He still can't play in Denver, but that's okay because we'll see Denver in the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
And that's what I'm training my team to get there, to the Super Bowl. And I don't have to worry about Matt Stafford because this year he looks like Haley Joe Osment in the game.
Team name.
So we're not going to talk about that. But every couple weeks, we're going to be checking in with my Madden franchise, Coach Todd Tondera, see what he could do to lead them to victory. Let's go, Redskins. Am I right?
Oh.
Jake is manually prying his eyes open. It's such a weird fashion.
Well, you're talking about fake guys, so it's hard for me to.
He did that.
But
He did that before. They're real guys.
they're fake, real guys.
Draft classes are fake. These guys are real. There's not a single fake guy on my team.
I'll give you that. It sounds like more fun than fantasy football.
It is, but fantasy football, by the way, I'm in that as well. I have a team this year as well.
Go through it.
I don't want to go through it. I think we talk too much football.
Fanatic about my fantasy football league is your next segment.
Fanatic. Why don't you make a fantasy football team?
Fantasy
Know
football.
nothing about them.
Fantasy football.
Fanatic about fantasy football. League.
How about I join someone's league and just troll it by being the worst?
You could
That'd actually help everyone, wouldn't it?
do that to my league. I don't mind if you do
No,
that
you
to
just
my
want
league.
those easy wins. Get out of here.
Well, yeah, duh.
outta here.
I'm
not trying to help
I build
you.
franchises. I don't care who I have to step on to get over. I don't care who I have to step
Wow.
on or over.
Whoa.
On or over. You got to do it. If you want success, you've got to commit time to success. And anything you do, unless you're a millionaire, and that goes right out the window, and you'll be good no matter how good you actually are. And I'm not a millionaire. I don't.
Gettysburg.
That's why we're up. That's why we're up right now.
Yeah, because I'm not a
Because
millionaire.
we're not millionaires.
Millionaires don't have to do this. Millionaires get paid to do this. But if you do want to support, the best way you know how, we all know this. Subscribe on iTunes. Write a nice review on iTunes. Tell us that you love the podcast. Tell us that you like it. That's okay, too. We've got a couple new listeners out there this week. Bruce, if you're listening, thank you for the message on Podomatic. He's listened to like 3 or 4 episodes, he said, and he's trying to get his girlfriend into it, and he wants to start from the beginning.
When I read that and he said he wants to get his girlfriend into it, I thought he wanted to get his girlfriend like an interview on the podcast.
Is that how you took it? Maybe that's a fact.
As in into it. He wants to get her in here, speaking with us.
He wants his girlfriend to be interviewed?
To get into it. Into this.
Thank you for just repeating words and not explaining it. What you mean?
Yeah.
But Bruce, if you're listening this week, thank you again. And sure, we'll have your girlfriend on the podcast if that's truly what you meant. I don't know that. Jake may be right about that. But I've just been fucking being lazy, and I may have not read that correctly. Explicit tag.
Explicit, 4:30 a.m. explicit.
Dude, if there's nothing more explicit than a goddamn pigeon with his chest ripped open with fries and maggots and birds eating it.
I was impressed that there were fries in there. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Maggots I could get over, but the fries were obviously
his
the
last
best
meal
part.
was undevoured, undigested French fries.
Poor guy. Maybe he was feeling the effects of like, all that grease in his belly. I just yawned on my own podcast. Oh man.
Grease in his belly. not quite Gesundheit level.
No, but I felt one of those coming maybe, but it's it's past.
I've heard rumors around the water cooler, around the haunted water cooler that's covered in cobwebs that vampires and werewolves hang around at, and they often call it the blood cooler. That you were at Gettysburg, our haunted town last week. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. You had to see firsthand if this place was haunted. You did a little Jake-cation, camped near Gettysburg.
Yeah. I'm not gonna talk about that.
Go ahead and talk about it.
I'm just joking. I will. I did go camping, and I'll start maybe with like
everything.
The least spooky thing maybe that happened to me in Gettysburg.
Least to greatest.
I went least to greatest. We'll go. I went for a wedding. I as you know, I was a +1 at a wedding in Gettysburg. Very nice. It was in a barn. It was my first outdoor wedding that I've ever attended. So outdoor ceremony. There were actually guns going off in the background. And a gentleman behind me, he said this. And because it was a barn and like a bed and breakfast, there were cats everywhere. And there were like guns shooting off in the background, whether or not they were like reenactments or not. But the gentleman in the row behind me, in the middle of the ceremony, as these guns are going off, he said, "Wonder if they're shooting those cats we saw on the way in." So that was real. That's real. The barn, very nice. Best wishes to the newlyweds.
But that was the least scariest. A traditional wedding, not very scary.
Oh no, that wasn't scary at all. Afterwards, I did camp. I went camping at a nearby campground, and throughout the course of the night, I woke up 2, 3, 4 times, and number one, my hips hurt really badly. Mm-hmm. That's not spooky either. But what is spooky, Todd, is that I heard hinge noises throughout the night. And I'm not sure if it could have been a bug. It could have been a bird.
Yeah.
But yeah. I heard hinge noises, like squeaky door hinge noises. Not like... No, if there was 2 metal pieces, clasped together and they had like a swivel, and it just had a little squeak. It was all around me, all night. Not ever present, but every once in a while, every time I woke up, I'd hear these little door hinge squeaks. And like I said, it could have been anything, but it definitely was squeaky.
Bug or bird?
Bug or bird? Hashtag bug or bird.
Was it ever formally discovered what it was?
No, because I didn't go out. You don't go out and check. But that, like I said, that's the least spooky of my experiences. maybe, definitely the most spooky thing that happened to me in Gettysburg caught me completely by surprise, and it was in the middle of the day.
Okay.
Sunlight, bright sunny. It was sweltering this day. I spent $30 on this Gettysburg tour. It was 3 hours long, and they were like, "Well, okay, it doesn't start till like 11:30."
Yeah.
And it was
You got there at 11:31, I bet.
No, it was 10:50. I had time
wow.
to kill, and it wasn't enough time to go do anything else. It was
would've been
just
at
enough time to
10:30.
like mill about and look through the gift shop. But it was a guided tour on a coach bus, so I knew it was legit. I'm waiting around, and guess what I see, Todd? Last week we spoke about we spoke about the
Jenny
Civil
Wade?
War.
Oh. Well, we did speak about Jenny Wade.
We did, and in fact, right across the street, was her actual home.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting you call it out. Her home was right across the street, so I went over there, and I went inside, and I took a seat because it was not hot in there, and
She was the only civilian killed?
she was, yeah. Well, so that's why I guess her house is important. So I went inside, and I just take a seat, and I start talking with this woman that's sitting next to me, and we're making small talk, and it goes on, and she's very nice, and I'm just explaining like how hot it is outside, and I realize who I'm speaking with.
This is what you were
Todd.
texting me about, I bet.
This is what I was texting you about.
Yeah.
I met Miss Jenny Wade. I met Miss Jenny Wade. I met Miss Jenny Wade.
I met Miss Jenny Wade.
I
Like
met,
her daughter?
No. Not a relative, ancestor. She died when she was like in her 20s.
Okay.
So there is no such thing.
Well, I don't
I
know.
met the
I don't
Jenny
know
Wade.
that. I'm not Wikipedia.
I have an exclusive interview with Jenny Wade herself.
Really?
I do.
You've recorded.
I-
Dead ass Jenny Wade.
I recorded it in the field just for you
Did it spook you?
and the kids. I was intimidated beyond belief.
Mhm.
And I think that some of that comes through. I was very scared, very nervous.
Why did she pick you to communicate with?
Oh, it just looked like she was hanging out.
So she could be approached, and you.
Well, that's what I mean. I just sat down and she was there, and I started making small talk with her. And then through the small talk, I realized this is probably a ghost.
Yeah.
And that was it.
You could probably see through. That was probably your first.
No,
you couldn't.
not see-through, but it's like in your mind's eye.
Yeah.
It's like if I concentrated, baby.
You could see right through her if you concentrated.
Anyway, here's my interview with Jenny Wade. 100% authentic.
Oh, there's no question this is authentic.
Hello, is that your kid? I'm actually here with a very special guest. This is an exclusive interview. I'm not even sure if this is even happening right now. I am sitting here with Miss Jenny Wade. Miss Jenny Wade, how are you today?
I'm very good today. Things look a little brighter today.
A little brighter. It is very hot out. I'll say this, I am sweating. It's very hot out. I'm actually sitting here waiting for my tour to begin, and I met Miss Jenny here, and I understand this is your home?
Yes, I've lived here all my life up until now, and now I'm going to be still living in a different category.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So Miss Jenny, what do you think? What do you think people have done with this place? Do you like the decorations here?
But they're pretty authentic, but some things are a little exaggerated. We weren't quite this wealthy to have such finery on the windows and everything.
Okay. Well, I think I like what they've done with it. I think do you think this would have been what it was like back in your day?
Pretty much. I think they've carried it out very well. I think that sometimes things get exaggerated over hundreds of years, and it gets to be that it's not completely true, but the basis of what happened is.
Huh. Well, don't you get tired of staring at the same old curtains all the time?
Sometimes I do, and I scoot out the back door and run around the yard and come running back in again.
Oh, right. Well, what do you think? Any suggestions on my tour? I'm about to take a tour of Gettysburg. Do you have any suggestions for me?
I think Little Round Hill was very important. Most everyone was in its way in a different time. But the worst was the terrible, terrible deaths that occurred.
Yeah, so during those 3 days, pretty much everything has become a hospital at that point.
I think that they've used part of this house as one, as I remember. I was a lot younger then, and I think that they used this for some of the wounded. And in most places, every home was filled with wounded men, either north or south.
I see, probably filled to the brim as well. Well, I hate to say this, but you are actually shot and killed, even though it was accidental, on the very last day of the fighting. How does it feel to have almost made it through the Battle of Gettysburg?
I think that it was supposed to be that way, and maybe because I've come back as a ghost, as everyone says, to help people understand what happened.
So you know that you're a ghost.
Yes, I do know I'm a ghost.
Ghost. Do you ever haunt anyone?
No, I don't believe
No
that.
haunting.
No haunting. Just
not even a prank.
Possibly.
A little spook here and there.
Spook here and there, maybe with a loaf of bread that I was supposed to be making that never got finished.
Do you think it burned?
I think it never got finished. It got that far. They shot me before that happened.
Well, it was an accident, so it wasn't intentional. You could rest
right.
easy knowing that much.
Well, that's correct, because they needed the bread.
I'm sure they were hungry. So that's interesting. You were actually cooking. You were baking when you died. Well, I have to say, I have good news. You live in Gettysburg, and still, even today, still reside in Gettysburg. How do you feel knowing that the Union actually won the war?
I have no absolute feeling one way or the other. I thought it was just a big fat mistake for them to fight like they did.
We shouldn't have fought at all. Well, I have good news and bad news. One, America's still going strong. And two, we still kind of fight one another on some scale, but not like this.
No, that was out of the ordinary and really uncalled for, because people wouldn't talk to one another.
So communication is a big deal.
Correct.
So kind of like we're doing now.
That's right.
We're doing now. Do you think you could still bake a mean loaf of bread?
I probably could if I had my hands, but they're a little bit airy, you know.
Just a little bit airy. Well, I'd shake your hand, but I don't think I can. It was nice meeting you. It was nice meeting you here in Gettysburg. Do you have any tips before I go?
No, just be careful.
Oh, I will be careful. Well, Miss Jenny Wade. That is Miss Jenny Wade, everyone, with Is That Your Kid? So I'd like to thank Miss Jenny Wade and all the casualties of the Civil War. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, was that authentic? Now that we've heard it, that was Jenny Wade.
That was the Jenny Wade.
The Jenny Wade. No chance that was anyone we know.
That wasn't nope, that wasn't anyone we know. That was a ghost. I spoke with a ghost.
Well, I enjoy the fact that she liked to bake bread. She seemed pretty handy in the kitchen.
If in another life she could have been very concerned.
She could have been concerned.
She was concerned about a lot of things. It was broad daylight, so it really put me on my heels. I didn't expect to be.
You were wearing your heels? I didn't think you wore those outside. I thought that was just like around the house you wore heels. Did you wear your lipstick that day, or?
No, it would have been Sunday before Labor Day, so I don't do that.
Okay. Well, did you wear them to the wedding?
Well, yeah.
Okay, well,
Not dancing. Obviously,
No,
I brought my
I mean,
flats. I brought my flats for that.
Great. Okay. Did you get a pretty dress or?
I didn't like the sleeve. I mean, yes, I didn't like the sleeves. God, the sleeves, they bothered me just the entire time.
Yeah. Well, you don't only have to dress up like that, so man. But I know that you're.
It's just frustrating, you know. Like you go and you try it on, and like in those 10 minutes you wear it, 5 minutes, 2 minutes you wear it. You're like, this is fine, it fits, and then you wear it for like 6 minutes, and you're like, what? I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah.
What have I done? What have I done?
Well, I'm glad that everything in the end worked out for you.
Wedding was fine.
Mike is showing me a picture on his phone of you sleeping in my bed.
Oh, that's
Check
good.
your phone.
Yeah, Mike's sending me pictures of you looking like the Joker from Batman.
Check this next one though.
Yeah, I mean, he's been sending some good ones to us. I mean,
My-
in his defense, he's been the bane of my existence the past 20 minutes, but it's actually working out not too bad in the end. Let's face it, this is going well. Well, you've had a busy week, man, and I still kind of question the authenticity of that interview a little bit.
Am I
but
still under the gun about? I thought we've moved on past this.
We have, but I'm just saying in retrospect, that may have not been Jenny Wade.
I'm not just trying to be cool and be like, hey, I got a ghost.
Okay.
I mean, there's a ghost. You heard her.
I did.
She was airy.
She was very airy. But you've had a busy week. I have not. I've actually just been watching Netflix this week. I watched like a whole buttload of documentaries. So if you opened up a butt, what would pop out? As I mentioned before, we do have a great musical guest this week. We already talked about the Velcro shoes, Can't Dance, Symbols Eat Guitars, At the Smiling Moose. But this week's musical guest, Divorce. Now, Trevor from Divorce, actually, we've been hitting each other up on Facebook. Their debut LP, Lifers, is streaming on Punk News as we speak. It's out September 16th off of Head to Wall Records. Pre-orders for the album, you could actually go to Head to Wall's web store or their Bandcamp, which is divorceus.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
And this song is called Want to Come Back to My Room and Listen to some TTNG off of Lifers. This is Divorce.
I've got nowhere to be. I just keep talking us around, around, around until you get home. I just keep talking us, I just keep talking us around until you get home.
All right, and what I liked about Divorce too, we haven't had a band on the podcast like them, so that's traditionally why. When I first heard them, I'm like, this would be great. They're out of Pittsburgh, and we try to hype Pittsburgh's acts. But again, you can check out Divorce at facebook.com/divorceus, divorceus.bandcamp.com, and divorce.bigcartel.com. And their pre-sale tickets for the show at the Smiling Moose. The show at the Smiling Moose is October 14th. You could pre-sale for $12 there. But thanks for being on Divorce, and I'm really been happy with our musical guests in these past weeks. So I hope that's going. I showed you a couple other bands earlier on this week that have been interested in being on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm fired up,
too.
man. Divorce. I'm fired up. If I wasn't laying down ready for bed, I'd be like up.
That's sweet, dude. That's so. If you weren't sleepy, you would be up.
I would be not just up, like up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of want to apologize for doing this while you were sleeping, but I just thought that we could bust this out, and I thought it could be a rip-roaring good time. And it seems like as you were waking up today, well, this morning, I guess you could say, you've been slowly getting into it. But I guess I have to apologize for something else too. Last week, Is That Your Goof is a segment I'll bring back. We haven't done Is That Your Goof in a while. Is That Your Goof is traditionally a segment where somebody messes up the next week and then owns up to it. So I will apologize to you, Jake, face to face. Isaac is traditionally spelled with two A's usually. I-S-A-A-C. It's not I-S-S-A-C like I thought it was. So
All right. Well, no problem, man.
I'm sorry about that, and so that's Is That Your Goof for the week.
That's all right. I have a goof, and it's just I got some of my Gettysburg facts mixed up. After my 3-hour tour, I realized I know Gilligan's Island just rings in my head. I realized that some of my facts were mixed up. All the numbers of participants in Civil War that I mentioned last week might not have completely been accurate, but there were many thousands of casualties. Was it as many as I said? Maybe not. That might have been the total of Civil War casualties. I don't really remember. I just know I was way overshooting that. But in the 3 days of Gettysburg, I'm not sure that was as extreme as I took it.
It wasn't exactly accurate, I guess.
No.
Well,
Mike's loving something.
I know. I wish he would just go to bed. But speaking of ghosts, just to talk about Divorce a little further, check out their album art, brother.
Oh, that's pretty
Two
cool.
ghosts with a wedding cake.
They look like hairy ghosts.
Yeah, they're a little bit going on in that like aspect.
Fluffy ones.
But again, you can check out Divorce, divorceus.bandcamp.com. They got a whole list of shows coming up too. So I was really happy to have them on the show. Well, Jake, now that I woke you up, and now that you're fully up by the end of this podcast, I think it's about time we shut down the podcast. So I'm serious. So I'm gonna throw it over to you for our final thoughts going into this work week.
I'd like to send this baby out
Send this
solo
baby
dolo,
out.
solo dolo style. I'd like to have a big shout out to everyone who died.
Period.
Just anyone that's ever died. Jenny Wade, if you're listening, I'd like to thank you, and Shukran. I'd do the work week angle, have a good work week, but I did that last time. So
Dude,
hope
I love
Mike
when
has
you do that. I love when you do that.
work week. I hope that if you're taking a siesta this week, happy late Labor Day, and maybe take a day off. You know what? Here's my outro. If you're not feeling like going to work, don't. And I'll tell you how. It's the perfect out. If you say that you have diarrhea, they can't make you come in. No one can make you come in. It's like a biohazard thing. It's like the flu. If you have diarrhea, they don't make you come into work. They'll be like, yo, and if you have the balls to tell your boss, hey, I have diarrhea, I can't really come in.
He's not gonna. He or she's
No
not gonna
one
call you
will
on
question that. No one will call you. You'll just be like, oh, stay home, feel better, see you tomorrow. You'll be like, pop, pop.
Didn't
Your
fly
mom
away.
is a parcel tongue for birds.